What? You stopped the bet?
What do you think, asshole?
You stopped the bet? Shut the fuck up!
Coming up next is some Uncut Gems news from Criterion, but first, click that subscribe button and throw us a like.
Like, you don't know? You don't think I know this? You don't think I know none of this?
So out October 26th on Blu-ray from Criterion Collection is Uncut Gems. Arriving with a 4K transfer and with a Dolby Atmos track, but this is not a 4K disc. They have not jumped into 4K with this one. They are just putting out a 4K transfer here. This was previously released in a bare bones edition that I picked up from Lionsgate. It had one featurette on it, which was pretty decent. It was like a little making of thing. If you're a fan of this movie, this is definitely worth an upgrade. It contains an audio commentary from the Safdie brothers, the writer, the editor, as well as the producer. It's got new interviews with the cinematographer. It's got the costume designer and the casting director. It has a screen test with Adam Sandler and Julia Fox, his love interest in the film. There's also 2 short films from the Safdie brothers from their early days in filmmaking. You've got deleted and extended scenes, as well as an essay and discussion of the film by the editor of Jewish Currents magazine. So I think they've pulled out all the stops here for this film, with the exception of putting it into 4K itself. I think they've given you a lot. I mean, that commentary alone is pretty solid. I'd love to kind of hear, the step-by-step process as they're going through some of these scenes, what they were doing or thinking about, and not to have that on the previous release. Again, it did feel very bare bones, but...
I'm with you. I picked up the Lionsgate one. Anyone who knows me knows I'm not a big Adam Sandler guy.
This is fucking outrageous.
At the time when I bought this movie, again, I've said this about other titles as well, sometimes it just feels like this is it. Sometimes it feels like this is going to be the release. It's just a very popular movie, nominated Academy Award at the time, ended up, not winning anything. But again, it was like this huge, massive movie that they put out on physical media as fast as they could. But I just didn't expect there to be much else, especially from a big studio. We talked about before, it's just boutique labels that are putting this stuff out. Now all of a sudden, here comes one to do it. I wouldn't have expected Criterion.
I disagree.
But here they are. I mean, they're putting their stamp on it. So again, it's someone else saying, this movie is culturally significant. I feel like that's what Criterion says when they put any movie out. Like, that's how they feel. I don't know what Arrow's mission statement or Shout Factory, like, horror classics or whatever it might be.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I think all of their mission statements are to make money.
I think you're right. But I feel like Criterion doesn't just put their name on anything. And the fact that they're doing this one, it seems odd to me. It does, just a little bit.
It doesn't seem odd to me.
I will say one more thing on the 4K note that kind of put me out a little bit was when I watched this movie for the first time, it was on Netflix. Like, that's where it premiered. And when it was on there, it was streaming in 4K. So when the Blu-ray came out, I was expecting a 4K release to come out, and it didn't. It was a Blu-ray. I was like, what the frig? Like, this is already streaming in 4K. I'm already watching it in that level of quality, albeit streaming, so not as good as it could be at home, but still, I'm not expecting a Blu-ray. So now here you go, Criterion 4K scan, okay, but still, that kind of put me off a little bit.
And I guarantee you, once Criterion goes all in on the 4K game, this will be one of them. And The Irishman. I mean, they're filmed. Yeah. It would be so easy. They're already there. Right. There's no restoration involved. So let's talk about Julia Fox.
I'm gonna come.
So Julia Fox. What a fox.
Look how this is winking.
Aside from Sandler and like Lakeith Stansfield, who I'd seen in a bunch of other stuff too, there's a couple of like unknown people that are in this that just, I feel like, did a pretty solid job. And
that newcomer, Judd Hirsch, did a really good job.
Judd Hirsch was, entering the field at that age, what guts? No, but Kevin Garnett, whenever people like that show up in movies sometimes to me, like whether it be a sports player or a musician or someone that doesn't belong in a movie, I'm always immediately taken out. Not only because their acting is probably subpar, but just the fact that they exist in this movie as someone else bothers me. He was himself, and the acting was pretty decent on his part. So I was kind of surprised by him.
He wasn't bad at all.
Julia Fox, awesome turn as Adam Sandler's love interest. I feel like she played that part super well. She was believable.
This was your first movie.
Yes, exactly my point.
They went well together. You didn't want to see her die at the end. You didn't know which way this movie was going to go at the end. Her situation was looking pretty dicey. But then also, even though, he's just a thug, but even like the main sort of like guy that's trying to like harassing him for the money, he's a nothing. He's like an unknown nobody. He's just like a tough guy that they cast, and he friggin' like nailed it.
Give me 2 fucking.
So a good cast overall. That Criterion typically does something different with the art than what the original poster art or DVD art was. And they chose to go with, it looks like the same thing here, but except it's either reflective or it's maybe sort of overlay on top of maybe like a black case or something. I'm not sure. Maybe that's the slip that goes over it has that sort of shine to it, but underneath it's their usual solid, case. But like you mentioned, I love this movie too from the jump. And the Adam Sandler thing, I know a lot of people pile on and say, I can't believe he's so great in this movie and you're never going to believe it. And he's doing a good job. But I mean, I don't think he is what makes this movie what it is. I think there's a lot at play here that make this movie like super
If it was just Sandler,
I
wouldn't be a fan if it was just Sandler.
Yeah. He plays a character that's kind of like familiar as other people he's played before, yet just different enough. But like the pacing is great, the anxiety is great, the feeling of dread is just like throughout, just the way they keep ratcheting it up every single time. Like it's very, and he plays that well. Like he plays getting all those hits like throughout. Like he's getting beat up, he's losing this deal, this is going wrong. Like everything he's playing, he's taking it on the shoulder like in a good way.
He does it well, but I always said this about Punch Drunk Love also. To me, it's an extension of what his comedy is. He's a man-child.
Yeah.
That's basically, these are more serious films.
Gambling addict, man-child.
Yeah. Irresponsible. It's same thing as Punch Drunk Love, same thing as this. That's been a motif of his, even in his stupid comedies.
Yeah.
And like I said, he does it well. I'm not, shitting on him. But I've never been impressed by it. It's like, the funny guy's in a serious movie. It must be great. Like, nah, he's doing what he always does. It's just the material is more serious.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Say what you will about Punch Drunk Love and Uncut Gems. These characters are not that far removed from Billy Madison. The movies are drastically different and better.
How they're being directed and guided and
But like I said, I just don't think it's that far of a 180 to be enamored by, as I hear people talk about him in these kinds of roles.
I mean, as far as the ending is concerned, quick spoiler alert here, he dies at the end, but I didn't see that coming in a way that like I wasn't expecting them to come out of this thing and like shoot him. But then as soon as it happened, I thought like that's the only way this movie could have ended. And if it did not end that way, I don't know that I would have liked it as much.
And as you recall, when we first discussed it, when it came out before our channel here, I kind of had an issue with the ending. I thought it was a cop-out at first. I thought it was, that's the easy way out, but you're right. What else was going to happen? And on top of that, the way it was done was very unexpected. They really subverted this moment of happiness, and the whole movie is so chaotic and building to this that you get caught up in the tension of the film. So even though you kind of see it coming, you're not prepared for it yet because you're so caught up in the moments of this movie.
And he's gotten away this whole movie so many times, and you're like, this guy's invincible, and then all of a sudden, no, he's not. He's like dead. And I think that also paints maybe like the broader theme too, which is, we're killing him at the end of this movie, but this is
and he deserves to die.
This is what's coming for him in his lifetime.
Yes,
that's what he's going down. He's going down.
Yes. And as you pointed out, if Julia Fox would have died, that would have made no sense.
It's a miracle.
It is.
It's a miracle. It does not happen. So I'm really grateful.
I will say, just on another note too, I think the soundtrack is awesome. The guy that did it, Daniel Lopatin, it's a lot of ambient sort of music that he does. He put such a cool soundtrack on this film that's such like a different tone completely from the stress and anxiety that this movie gives you. All of a sudden it cuts to this like ethereal, wonderful, beautiful, sort of, mystical kind of sound and music. Like I think I mentioned before, it's like cosmic sounding. Kind of a cool choice.
Speaking of ethereal and beautiful, this film also stars Julia Fox.
I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Julia, comment below. Again, I'm not entirely put off to buying this release because it's not on a 4K disc, but god damn it if I wanted this to come out at 4K. That would have been like an immediate upgrade, immediate buy. It's such a cool looking movie at times too. So I'm interested to see what they've done, but God, it should have been 4K. And
as we said, it's been all but confirmed that Criterion is getting into the 4K game. This is inevitable for them 4K wise.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll still probably.
I know this is one. Do I want to risk it? Do I want to risk it and pick this up, and then that happens, and I'm angry.
And with Criterion too, there's an opportunity for it to go out of print. So I felt like the next time I'm itching to watch this movie, I would go and I would get this and then I would watch this version. But until then, I might just hold off. But October 26th, get your gems.